So the first thing I want to show a lot of you is the. I don't want to call it the most important science fair ever, but
Matthew Tan, Cranbrook on the front page. So
yeah, something you should definitely.
Cranbrook students do well here.
I mean, you can see the press. Oh, it doesn't have a picture, so.
Yeah. He went to ISEF, which is the international fair. He won an award there, and was invited to participate in like a special summer institute.
You're gonna register too, right?
To do research. So that's really cool. If you guys want, there's a lot of awards here. Not just like awards given by the Metro Detroit Science Fair, but also companies come and like they take a look at your research. And if you have like, for example, I know Matthew, when he did his project last year, he had a small little thing about statistics. Like he put like one regression plot, and he put an R-squared value on there, and he got like an award from the Statistical Association. So like they're not looking for something like super in depth. They're just looking to see if you can apply like basic high school concepts and apply that in your research. So if you put like if you put some statistics in there, if you put some you follow the scientific method and you really follow that kind of a model, then you're gonna do pretty well, at least from like a company standpoint or from like any other poster type standpoint.
So this is.
Some companies looking specific for environmental impact, right? And so they give out awards with hundreds or thousands.
Yeah. So this is the.
Yeah, there are a lot of cash awards, what they call professional awards, which means like corporations like bigger companies like Intel, I think Google is not here, like Ford, General Motors, like smaller societies such as IEE and American Society of Statistics, ASA. They all came to like give awards, big or small. So this was a grant award winner at the regional level and qualified him to the it's not Intel anymore, it's Regeneron this year because they changed the sponsor, International Science Engineering Fair. This is the one that went there. So I'm just gonna say for this specific science fair, the very thing that you're gonna appreciate is that the experience that you can get out of attending the regional fair by talking to different people, seeing different projects right next to you, and being able to talk to the professionals and the presentation skills that you're involved in, presenting your projects is very, very different compared to a lot of other professional research you probably will be encountered with in the future as an academia person or in undergrad or graduate school. So this is more favored into like your innovation and your presentation skills and your communication skills of how you talk to people. Just focus on that. And the other science fair that I talked about that you can participate in senior year is STS is more featuring the academic quality of your paper, so that you don't really have to present for anything to participate. So for this specific science fair, just keep in mind that you're gonna really work on your board. I mean, the quality of the board is not the most important thing. It's just the clarity. You have to make sure that your boards are has a lot of graphs. Don't put a lot of words on there. Just you're able to make people understand what you mean and what you did with the images on there and make them feel comfortable. And these are very important skills for this specific competition. So just to get a sense of, they have 22 or 24 different categories, which the category divisions are different than actual ISEF. So I will send this to you by email after our meeting today. You can just basically get a gist of what they're about. They include everything ranging from animal sciences, even humanity subjects such as psychology, mathematics, or like theoretical stuff like mathematics, and more applied stuff like engineering, mechanics. They have all kinds of categories. But when you submit, you have to make sure that you read to make sure that some of the options that you have actually fit your project. That's one thing. So I will send this profile. So when you're submitting, please make sure that you're submitting to the right category or the most suitable category. And right. So if you want to register, you need to type in the website page called sefmd.org, which stands for Science and Engineering Fair of Metro Detroit. So go to this website first. If you have a laptop now, just go to it now. Everything else is set up, right? We have everything else that, like, the school is affiliated to the science fair already, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, yeah. So now, just go to the third option, which is entry form info, and go to the second of the third option. I'm gonna close the door. It's a little too much noise. All right, just as you're logging into there, I'm just gonna. Oops. No, I would just suggest you guys to start registering today, so we're not procrastinating. Yeah, everyone got that? All right. Did any of you have questions, or you got it? Questions? What? It could be because the school website blocks it, so we have to like.
Oh, I bet you.
Or it could, yeah, maybe just log it off. I don't know. It could be either be blocked or be down on the server. We still can't get in. Yeah, I think. All good. Then go to the third item and the second item of this third item, which is online entry, and then click on it. So now you get into the registration form. So if you're a first-time registrator, you just go to register online now. If you're already putting some information for the registration, you can always change your entry in the second option. But now, because since I think most of us haven't put anything in yet, we're just gonna go to the put an entry form here. I believe our school's code is 2511. Even if it's not, wait, maybe it's wrong. Wait, yeah, actually, I'll just choose from here. Yeah, actually, it's 2251. So, yeah, after you put the school information in, you just hit submit. And then you're gonna get to this page. So basically you're gonna put in all your personal information, which is just very regular stuff that you would put anywhere else for your biological information, and contacts. So here's something you should notice, which are the categories. That's where you have to like make sure you pick the right category. I think it's pretty hard to change your category after you submit it. Yeah, it's impossible, right? Because we asked last year that if we can change it on site. Yeah. We can't really change it on site. And you have the option of choosing if it's a team project. So anyone with more than one person on the team has to choose to be a team project. Just make your option. It is legal. It is possible that you can submit your team project as an individual competitor. But the difference in submitting a team project and the individual project being, if you submit an individual project, there are more people competing. Out of I think last year the stats would be 200 individual projects and 70 team projects. But the qualification, the number of qualifications are also different. So for the 200 individual competitors in senior division, which is for high school students, there are 6 spots for you to qualify for ISEF. But if you're a team project, out of the 70 people or 80 people, there's only one qualification, team. So like you can't really, even if you're the second best team in the competition, you don't really have the chance of qualifying to ISEF. So if your goal is to have getting a bigger edge of qualifying ISEF, I would suggest that one of the team members submit for the science fair, because for individuals it's easier for you to qualify for ISEF, and one of the reasons being there are more numbers available out of 200 people, and there's a huge percentage. And the second is because of the original restriction that each school can only send one individual competitor to ISEF. So there are many other schools, even if they have like multiple very strong candidates, they're not going to qualify all of them to ISEF. So excluding some people from the same schools, maybe top 10 or 20 students actually have a chance of qualifying for ISEF. So that number is even larger. So but for team, they're just one. So just make sure your goal matches the options that you're choosing. But after you register, there's no way that you can change a team project to an individual project, or individual project to a team project, or change your category. So you have to make sure that you talk to your teammates and make a decision that matches your goal the most. So if you're a team project, you're gonna put in the name of your team members, which means if you're a team project, only one person needs to register the entire page, and you're just gonna put the other collaborator's name on this section. These forms mostly don't apply to most of the people that never worked in a lab or never worked with like experiments that involves potential legal violations. I assume most of the people here never worked in the biological labs, or I'm not sure what project you worked on. So does it involve any experimentations with like organisms or? Okay, yeah, I assume most people don't have this. So like, just read through the requirements. I'm pretty sure none of us really need to fill out any of those forms. Last year, Simon was required to fill out one of these forms, right?
Yeah.
Because he
Actually, I had to fill out.
Yeah, because he was sponsored by a lab professor at the university, and situations like this, or especially biological projects, you have to read this really carefully, because that's
if you use like
possible.
tissue cultures or live subjects in your lab, which I mean we don't have that here in Cranbrook, so for most of you it won't be an issue. But if you are in a lab or in some sort of like professor that's doing that kind of research, you're going to need to fill out those forms and make sure that your research is approved by an institutional review board, which will look at the research procedures and make sure that they're ethical and that they're not damaging to the animal or the creature that you're studying. So, if you're doing that kind of a research, you can talk to us and we'll help you walk you through that process.
Yes, and this is, so make sure, although the deadline is in 10 days, you don't have to fill out all these forms in 10 days. You just have to click which forms you would need, and then you just print out the form and fill out the form and bring it to the science fair. So you're gonna have it printed, signed by March 14th?
11.
March 11th. So that's the day you will have those forms. It's not like in 10 days. But
it's good to have them as early as possible.
As early as possible. We have to start working on it.
Especially if you have a mentor.
So what's due in 10 days?
What?
What is due?
This form that I'm going through now.
So what's not due in 10 days?
Because these things you just have to click on the box. You don't have to like submit them now. You just click on the, you see these boxes? You just click on which forms you need. You don't have to submit it now. But you have to choose which forms you need.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, so this doesn't really hurt you. Because last year we had both people like said they submitted to other science fairs, and people that said they never submitted to any science fairs. Filling this information is just, I think it's totally informational. Nobody's gonna judge you based on if you submitted to any other competitions. So don't worry, just be honest. And so I think this section is the most important section of your submission. You have to be really careful. Is there any? Have you ever heard anybody got rejected because they didn't fill this form out properly? Do you know anybody in any situations like that?
On the website they say that if you don't follow the directions, like they'll show you like examples of
like submissions, and
Alright.
they'll show you like which ones were submitted, which ones won awards, which ones didn't get submitted, which ones didn't get accepted, which ones didn't.
Wait,
were
can you
rejected.
come here and just like pull it up?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't really know where I can search it.
Go to that entry form info thing. There's a disqualification reasons like
Okay.
entry form info.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, there's this.
So yeah, you can check this too. So it's under the same drop down box, the fourth option, and they don't have examples, right?
You go back.
Or is it just because I?
Maybe forms and documents.
No, you can't really click open it.
Well, how to write an abstract sample. I think it might be there.
Could be. All right, yeah.
Yeah, see?
So there are examples like so everything marked green are the approved ones, and all the ones that are marked red are like rejected ones. You can take a reading of this. So either they're too brief, or you don't have proper citations, or you don't have like all the proper forms clicked or chosen. Otherwise, most projects will be approved. So like you don't even have to be specific, and this pre-qualification process is not done according to the quality of your research. It's totally based on if you have all the required materials submitted. So they're pretty slack with this rule. Just make sure that you fill in all the information you know and be as comprehensive as you can, and don't forget to like submit or click the forms that apply to you. So this title and so all these things are I think are straightforward. Just one thing. Make sure that you understand these two boxes are optional. So it's either or. You have to fill in either one of them. But if you want to fill in both, it's also ideal. But you can just leave them blank. But filling in one of them is good. For those of you who already done most of part of your research, you can just write an abstraction, which is basically a summary of what you did in your research. And for those of you who haven't done your research, or is in the process of doing your research, just write out your research plan or proposal that you wrote or you submitted to the Dropbox that we created. For this abstract, do you guys have any question about how to write an abstract? I can talk a little bit. Any of you have questions about how to write an abstract? We're all good. All right, so yeah. And
if you want, we can take a look at it. If you want, if you want, you can send us your abstracts or your research plans that you're submitting before you actually submit it, and then we can take a look and make sure that everything is checked off, so that there's no problems and there's no surprises.
Yes. So any of you who fill out these two have questions about or not sure about like if your writings about these two sections are you can always send any of them to us by this Friday, hopefully. So we can look at them on weekends. And why are you sending this to us? Also send us the bibliography, because this is also very important. There are people rejected even if they have really comprehensive things in here, but without any bibliography because they never cited any sources that you use. And that's also a part of the reason for disqualification. So if you're sending us these things, remember also send us the bibliography. Although there are only 3 boxes for sources, you can fill in as many as you want in all others, because I fill in like 18 sources. I fill like 15 sources in other sources. You don't have to worry that I fill too much for a single box. You don't have to worry about that. We did that too, so it's okay. And these are just statistical stuffs. You don't have to worry about it. It's also not a part of the judgment. So basically, for this entire sheet, as long as you're not disqualified for the science fair, it will be not used in your judgment. So like after you go to science fair, the entire judging is based on how you present it today. It's not based on any of the information here. These are just for qualifying for original fair.
Yeah, and I would say that as Mark stated before, like it's important to have like some rigor in your project, but it's more about like you could have the most advanced project in the world, but if you can't explain it to someone who's educated in science but not necessarily an expert in your field, for example like Dr. K or Dr. Cole or any of the students here, if you can't explain your project to them in an effective way for them to understand it, then that's something that you're going to need to work on and try to get better at for the science fair because the judges are going to be looking to see if you can actually explain your project to them. For example, like last year I was in the computational biology category, which is like, especially for like people who don't know computers and biology, it can be very confusing. So for example, like I had judges who were mechanical engineers and I had judges who were chemists. And while they're not experienced in biology or computers, they should be able to understand what I'm saying and should be able to understand my project. And so the reason, like one of the reasons that I saw from my last year's performance that I think I can improve on is, making sure that I can explain my project well to someone who's not an expert in my field. Because oftentimes, especially if you get into a project, you may end up having, you may understand everything about your project, which is great. But then when you explain it, or when you make a poster, or you make a presentation about it, it may not be the most clear thing to someone who doesn't know anything about it. And so, that's where, this club is here to help you with that. We can help schedule practice sessions for your posters, for your presentations, and we can help you get through that so that you guys know exactly what's going to be happening and you guys can be familiar with it. Because the more practice you have before you go to the science fair, the better overall result it's going to be. And just going off of that, if any of you guys are interested, sometime in February, I'm going to be hosting either at a research club meeting or another time, I'm going to be having my practice session for a research competition at Wayne State. So I'll be presenting my research with JSHS.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna do the regular thing that we did last year. So basically, we're gonna do it about 1 week or 2 weeks before the two science fair. Because as I said, these two science fairs are really close to each other. They have really close dates. Yeah. We're gonna have it the week before so that everybody will be the most ready, but they still have time to edit on what they have. Yeah. So that's basically what we did last year. I think it worked out pretty well. So we're just gonna do the same thing.
Yeah. So just remember, even something simple as writing down a script and then just reciting it to yourself in the mirror before you actually go out and start practicing in front of people, that will really help build your confidence. And also, just as much as you know about your topic, your project, the more you know, the more confident you're going to feel, and that's going to be really important in delivering a strong message to your listeners and your audience. And if you're a successful science fair presenter, you'll often see that sometimes even 2, maybe 3 or 4 judges are going to be around your table at one time, and you'll have a little mini crowd around your table. So if you as a measure of how well people do, look out for the people. For example, if this is your first science fair and you're a little bit lost and a little bit confused, look out for the people that typically draw the biggest crowds of judges to their group, and then talk to them. Get to know them a little bit. Understand their experience with science and talk to them and see maybe if they can give you some advice or if they can give you some tips on just sort of the presentation.
And don't take it as a sign of if you are doing well or not, because that's usually just a sign of if this person is starting doing really professionally, or it sounds very convincing, or he has a lot of things to say, and the first person just not done when the second person comes around. So just don't take it as, oh, this person is doing the best, I don't even have a chance of beating him. So if you don't have anybody around you in the first place, don't worry, because people crowding in the first few hours or the first hour is usually because the person starts talking the most, or the person that has some experience in the past of doing similar things, but it's not a sign of people already read your abstract and feel like this person has more potential to qualify. So just don't be anxious and just make sure you're calm. The mistake I made last year was that we kind of I went out to buy some lunch, and then we came back and I was pretty full, and I was pretty not good state. I was so in the afternoon I didn't do as well as I did in the morning, which is kind of one problem that I would regret. So just make sure that you're calm, make sure you're doing regular things, don't get overexcited, don't get over anxious. Just make sure that you're just, because one thing that you're sure is that you did all the research, and don't worry that people are going to be oh, this is terrible research. They're not going to say that. Most judges here are really nice, and just make sure that you express yourself well in a normal state. Just be prepared and know what you're saying. All right, you have more to add? Oh, good. So this is this. You sign up for this first because this requires the least information, and it's the easiest to sign up for, and it's also a very important science fair. If you have time, or if you have more resources, do sign up for one as I'm signed up to, which is called STS. What did I say? JSHS. This one has regional competitions. Usually this one is much smaller, but it's also I think it's competitive on a similar level.
Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure about it. If they'll take any more submissions because they like over the weekend they released the oral presenter list.
They already did.
Yeah.
Oh, last year because they were really slack about that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure about this year. Maybe they have more people submitted this year.
Yeah, I mean, and just comparatively, the numbers like last year there were about 25 presenters or so. This year they only have 16, so they may have room for more.
We
if,
are always better.
Yeah. So if
They
you're
always
interested,
right.
if you have a research
Yeah.
project that you've already completed and you want to submit it and you want to get a chance to present it before the science fair, this is a really good chance to do so. You're gonna have a 12-minute presentation in front of judges from the Wayne State University and from the Army.
So it's 10 minutes presentation, 2 minutes. So they're gonna ask you a question based on what you said in the presentation.
And then you're gonna be presenting in front of the other presenters in the room. So it'll be a pretty like-minded group of individuals who are pretty well versed in the field, and then they'll just talk and ask questions, and it's a good way. And they have a nice banquet lunch and a banquet dinner for the winners. So it's a good experience to go and try to get practice before the science fair.
Yeah. So basically, don't eat too much. This competition is, I don't think they're the most rigorous one, because I think a lot of judges there are just asking questions that you'll be surprised that why are they asking these kind of questions. Don't be surprised, because some of the projects that you're doing may be quite advanced in terms of your specific area that just people from any other disciplines wouldn't necessarily understand you. So just so there are possibilities that your project is really good, but just people didn't really understand. You just try to explain as well as you can if you get a chance to participate. Is this actually earlier this year? This is February 28th. Yeah, this year they might just push everything earlier. I mean, yeah, if that's the case, just don't worry if you can't sign up.
Go down and see if they still have registration. Go down, all the way down.
No, these are the...
Yeah, it was...
Registration deadline is right up there.
Yeah, I think it's done. Oh, yeah, actually, maybe?
You might be able to... If it's not...
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you can still put in information.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have the paper already, just try to put in all the information you can. I mean, probably they're going to take it.
And if they're not going to be accepting any more oral presenters, you'll still have the opportunity to be a poster presenter, and that's still a great, still a great thing to do.
We would invite all of you who is going to present in the Science Engineering Fair of Metro Detroit to attend this fair, because they have 5 rooms, and everybody that is with one presenter is to be there. You can sit in the room and listen to other presenters, and because there's a good chance that some of those presenters are going to be actually the most potential candidates in the Detroit Science Fair too. So you can listen to other people's projects and a full extent, because they're going to talk longer. They have more graphs and words, and they're making slides to share their work. So it's more comprehensive. It's easier to understand what they're saying. So if you're going to the Detroit Science Fair, it's better for you to also go there to listen to what people are saying and what kind of projects people are working on. It's very helpful. Yeah, that's.
Well, in that, I want to make sure that it's clear that we don't provide transport here. So if you're going to this one, we'll support it, but you have to get an absent form and all that for going, and you have to get yourself there. We, as the club, provide transport to just the science fair.
Yeah, Metro Detroit in Como. All right. So these are the science fair coming up. It's very urgent, so that you have to follow by this weekend, so that you still have a chance to update next week. And make sure.
Anyone interested in this one?
Me?
Feedback? They're sitting right here. Feedback? Anyone interested in this one? Maybe not. I'm not feeling.
All right. So whatever. So yeah. So
How many people are planning to submit to Science and Engineering Fair Metro Detroit?
all the people here, right?
Everyone?
Yeah, everyone.
Okay, so would you guys just go down and say what stage your project is in and where you think you might need help? Okay. You want to start?
I don't think I need any help.
What state are you in? We're not asking you if you need any help.
I'm just beginning. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, you got helps. What about you?
3/4 done, almost done. Just got a second couple things.
Good. So you guys all be ready to make the mock presentation by like late February or March? Okay.
Like February 20th or something.
I'm probably not going to submit for this because I'm still working. I just found a professor and we need to discuss some further things.
That's fine too. Sorry? Okay, yeah, as long as you're on progress. What about Freya? There are like two people sitting here like all the time and they're like saying they're almost done. They didn't come to me today. Are they killing no? They're like Freya, is that her name?
Freya.
Oh.
Yeah. They're like Freya and there's another Rachel, like a really quiet girl. I think they're really good in their progress, but it didn't.
Freya, she's in our advisory.
Is she?
Freya.
Oh, I didn't know, sorry.
I'll text her and ask her though.
Alright, I think she and Rachel, I think they're pretty good on their progress. I don't know if they're gonna, submit. I'm just gonna send an email today, and if they respond to me or I respond to your text, either way, it's fine. So we know it. So maybe we have like 5 to 7 projects to be submitted this year. This is not bad.
And so, how about you?
I just have a bit of
But you know what you're doing, right? You have the
but
program.
I'm not sure if I'm doing individuals as a team.
Otherwise fine. Just you have to make sure you have to find out by February 7th.
Yeah.
They're part of the way John had a few more experience wrapped up with
I mean, like, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 2 more. So we have about like 10 people. Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Good. So, one tip that we have to submit this early because from last year's experience, the last day always crushes. Like, there's one person that really have trouble submitting this, and he submitted this for like, he tried this, math to 10. Tried this every hour to submit this, but like he was not able to submit until like very late in the day. So like just don't get that kind of panic. Just submit it as early as you can. This weekend is a very good chance to submit it.
Just so you guys are, if you're curious, this is not the best way to choose your category.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
If you're interested in go back. Oh yeah.
I know what you're talking about. This is actually the best way to submit. This is actually a very good way if you can choose between 2 or more.
Alright, so this is the judging statistics that they publish on their website for how many judges sign up. So for example, you can see how many projects are in every category. And just know that they choose 3 projects for the second round of
2.
Two?
Yeah. And for some smaller projects, these categories, they probably just only choose 1.
Well, in my category last year there were 3.
Because they joined 2. They joined 2 categories together.
If there's not enough.
Yeah, okay. So normally you'll get 2 projects to choose for the state round, which is in the afternoon,
Yeah.
out of however many that there are in this category.
So like this is definitely not advantageous because it's 2 out of 31, and like these would probably be better categories to be participating if you if
But
there are options for
on
you.
that note, don't choose a category that doesn't fit your research just because you think that you might have a better chance. But if you're interested in looking at what your competition might be like, it's pretty, you should be aware that like the more broad categories like chemistry or hard biology are going to have more projects than, for example, like computational biology, which is pretty specific.
And the division of categories are different in the state round, which is in the afternoon compared to the regional round, because out of all these people, they're going to select about 40 people out of 300 people to participate in the state round. In the state round, they only divide into 2 general categories between engineering and science. So if you have more statistical analysis methods like if1 score or R-squared values and stuff like that, it's better for you to submit it to a science category. If you have more implications and you don't really have formative analysis or like the kind of methods that you would definitely use in the social science or stuff like that, try to put in the engineering category. So like if you see, it's not really clear, but you definitely know some of the categories like this one and this one would definitely be in the science, and biomedical engineering, embedded system, environmental engineering, engineering mechanics will definitely be in the engineering category. So just make sure that you're submitting so that if you make it to state round, you'll be able to compete in a suitable category. This more detailed division of categories only apply in the morning round. In the afternoon, it will be all gone, and you'll just be competing in the general with everybody from the same general category. But still, as we said, just try to avoid these kind of like really crowded, packed categories.
And within, if you go to the judging, like if you go to the category descriptions,
You can't really click it, right? Which one?
oh,
What do you want? Which?
go to like the categories. Entry form? Yeah, category description, yeah. So you'll see exactly like go to like biology for a second, like cellular molecular, yeah. So like you can see here, like biochemistry, it'll tell you exactly what kinds of biochemistry or what exactly type of research they're looking for in this category. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to this page and look through all of the research like topics and areas that you think might apply to your project. Look through and see, does my research fit into one of these subcategories? And if it can fit into multiple different larger types of research groups, then you might want to choose the one that seems at this point to be a little bit more advantageous. Also, just know that these sign-up statistics are also going to change a lot because we still have 10 days before the registration deadline, and a lot of people are going to be submitting.
And they
those.
update every day at 5 or 6 o'clock. So
Yeah.
it would update all together. So like you will see like the stats go like up a lot by like one time, and this doesn't change for a long time. Then it changes a lot. So currently there are already like a lot of people sign up. So just I think it's already representative of like how the stats will look generally in the future. So yeah. Also another thing is that just also don't really just look at the numbers. Also pay attention to the number of judges that sign up. Like the judges assigned here. Currently they all have 0, but in the future, a very close future, they're gonna change. And you have to see the ratio too, because there are some categories that have really few people but have a lot of judges. So that it's better chance for you because you'll be able to present to more judges in a short time, and your score will be averaged out. So that way your score will be more representative of how actually your project is, instead of like how one professor thinks how you're doing. So I've seen a category that they actually have like 20-ish kids, but like they only have like 3 judges. I mean, it's impossible for like anybody to get more than 2 judges, and that's not advantageous. So just try to avoid that. We were actually assigning that. That'll be the most of things that I want to talk about today. Does anybody have any questions, or do you think you're good to just sign up right on this time? Yeah, we should be good.